I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with the Assassin's Creed franchise. I mean, the premise is absolutely amazing. The settings are always phenomenal, and let's be real here, it's fun to stab people in the throat with a hidden blade. But over the years, the series kinda slipped into a formula, and Ubisoft seemed determined to run it into the ground by releasing stupidly easy games with little to no innovation year after year. Assassin's Creed started out as a very bare-bones game. There was some experimentation with the core systems, and they spent a while figuring out exactly what they wanted the series to be. This general idea spanned 4 games, Assassin's Creed 1 and the Ezio trilogy of Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations. Assassin's Creed 3, which is technically the 5th game in the series, yeah, I know, is where things changed pretty radically. That was the point where Ubisoft decided, yeah, we like this. And then we got basically the same game with a few little improvements time and time again. For me, I always had a good enough time playing these games. They weren't awful, but over time they started to lack that wow factor, and the only real draws for me were experiencing these historical settings, and the absolutely stellar naval combat system introduced in 3 and expanded on in Black Flag and Rogue. But really, it didn't take that long to see what each of these games was. A linear main story that honestly wasn't particularly well written aside from a few clever moments here and there, and a shitload of filler content, mainly in the form of collectibles. A lot of collectibles. That shit got old. I always knew I would kind of enjoy these games, at least enough to get through the story, but I got progressively less and less excited with each upcoming release. And it didn't help that the combat system was dumbed down to the point where a toddler could easily master it. It was literally parried the normal enemies, and you had a huge window of slow-mo to hit that E button for an instant kill, and dodge the brutes, which would let you get a backstab in, which is another instant kill. Eventually, after finishing Assassin's Creed Syndicate, I just kinda stopped caring. I picked up Origins on sale, but never even started it up. The series had fallen into a rut and it was dying a slow, pitiful death. Or was it? A little while back, now this was probably a couple years later, I decided to finally get around to playing Origins, mainly because I thought it would be cool to see how the Assassins actually started up in the lore. When I played the game, it was different. It was actually fucking different. The old combat system was gone, and in its place a new, more free-flowing combat system with an overall more open and fast-paced feel. Even once I learned this combat system, it was still challenging at times. And what's this? Side quests? Impactful weapon classes and a rarity system? A truly open world not compartmentalized into self-contained cities? Wait a minute, did they make this game an RPG? Fuck yeah, they did! Look, running around ancient Egypt and learning about the origins of the Assassins was cool and all, but holy shit, I actually had fun with an Assassin's Creed game for the first time in years. The game, of course, still had its issues. I couldn't find myself caring about the protagonist Bayek or his dead son. Not everything in the skill trees was worth the skill point investment, while some were borderline overpowered. The AI could be abused in some cases, and the game is really poorly optimized. It overutilizes your CPU when it should be putting a heavier load on the GPU, which makes it run like a paraplegic in a swimming pool at times. But it was still something new, something innovative, and something fun. To me, it felt like Ubisoft were actually starting to give a shit again. And then, it happened. Those 2 words that make gamers sing as their wallets cry. Steam sale. Assassin's Creed Odyssey went half off only a few days after I finished Origins. Now, I love ancient Greece, so that already had me excited, but I was still riding that high of actually enjoying Assassin's Creed after so long. I just had to see if Odyssey continued on the RPG path. If Origins was an experimentation, Odyssey was an expansion. They took all the good things that I liked about Origins and fixed some of the stuff I disliked while also adding in a modified version of that wonderful naval combat system that was basically the only redeeming quality of the franchise for so long. They added a bounty system that didn't suck, encouraging you to plan out when to commit crimes like killing and stealing. They added multiple progression systems such as mercenaries, kill higher tiered mercenaries to rank up and gain boosts, or the engraving system which lets you unlock different ways to augment your gear as you complete in-game tasks. Or the way you can upgrade your character entirely as you hunt down the Cult of Cosmos, which is one of the precursors to the Knights Templar. They added a proper armor system with individual pieces of gear that can be upgraded and augmented. They added dialogue choices where the things you say actually carry over. Seriously, characters will reference previous choices you've made. And you can even seduce some of the NPCs. I mean, come on, whenever I play an RPG, one of my rules is that I have to try to bang everyone. They even added a neat conquest system where everything is controlled by either Athens or Sparta. When you fuck shit up, as you do, you'll weaken the current occupants' hold on the region. Weaken them enough and you'll be able to participate in a battle to either attack or defend for rewards. It makes you feel like your actions actually have an impact. There are more things that they added that I'm not going to go too much into, but I couldn't believe it. Is Assassin's Creed Odyssey perfect? Fuck no, it's not. There's still work to be done, but holy shit, it actually looks like they're going in the right direction. A shift towards the RPG genre just makes sense to me. The series needed a proper combat system, and it's great that it has it now. They've always had at least a semi-open world, though exploration never really came with all that many rewards in the past. And you always felt kinda pigeonholed into just beelining the next story objective because what the hell are you putting it off for? In Origins and Odyssey, there's cool shit around every corner, and pretty much everything comes with a neat reward, even if it's just XP, which makes you fill out the skill tree faster. And the fact that there are actual side quests, even if they mostly end up being go to place and kill the thing, offer a nice break if you don't feel like doing the main story anymore. And of course, you could always push forward in the non-story progression system by hunting mercs or cultists. Or you could just go pillage a bunch of ships for resources to upgrade. It actually feels like the entire map matters, which is something I never got from any of the other Assassin's Creed games. Now here's the thing. Origins and Odyssey are a welcome change to the stale Assassin's Creed formula we've been used to, but I have to emphasize that they're not done yet. In their time, Ubisoft have developed and published a wide array of games, but they've never really delved that deep into the RPG genre. Sure, they've taken little bits and pieces here and there, but unless I'm missing something, and I might well be, Origins and Odyssey are the most RPG-esque their games have ever gotten. And that means that they don't quite have the same level of experience that other studios that specialize in RPGs do. Of course, it's certainly possible to learn a lot by observation and study, but nothing really does the trick like doing it yourself. Ubisoft still has some work to do if they want Assassin's Creed to really stand out, especially if they want to entice fans of other RPGs. One of the big issues I have with the games is actually a fairly subtle one. I can't really figure out if the game wants to focus on general progression or the end game, and that's mainly because of the loot system. See, in both games you'll loot a shitload of weapons, and in Odyssey you'll also get armor. The weapons will have a distinct class that affects how it plays, and all equipment has 3 features that distinguish them on a gameplay level. There's the item level, which scales its stats. You have to be at or above your item's level to use it. The rarity, with rarer items providing stat boosts and extra slots for the third attribute, engravings, which provide passive boosts to various things based on which engravings you choose. Armor is pretty much all the same at the most basic level, and you can spend money and resources to upgrade your equipment to your current level if need be, but the cost is pretty significant. It just kinda sucks because until you hit the level cap, it's just better to replace your gear as you come across better stuff and hope that the engravings are good. If you spend your resources engraving a piece of equipment, you'll just have to keep spending more and more to keep its stats up to par as you level it, or you're just gonna have to replace it, effectively wasting that cost. And levels can come fairly quickly if you're doing quests. But the thing is, you're unlocking new engravements left and right. Many of the things you do make progress towards that end, such as assassinations, killing enemies with different weapons, killing mercenaries, pretty much everything. It's like it wants you to play around with your new toys, but if I'm gonna be encouraged to ditch my current item 20 minutes in, what's the fucking point in spending my resources now when I could go into something more permanent like ship upgrades, or even saving so that I can bring my gear up to snuff when I hit the level cap? It's like it wants me to engage with its systems while at the same time discouraging it until I get to the end game. I think it comes down to the fact that Ubisoft, as a AAA developer, doesn't like taking too many risks. The fact that they made such a radical shift with Assassin's Creed is surprising enough considering the series was pretty much guaranteed to keep making money even as its old shitty self. I'm hoping that they keep expanding and improving on their ideas. Origin and Odyssey were good, but there's so much potential to improve. One thing I'd really like to see is proper quest lines besides the main story. Let me use Skyrim as an example. Yes, the writing can be terrible at times, but it understands that quest lines are important. The main story is almost an afterthought. But you can go through a series of quests for the Thieves Guild, the Dark Brotherhood Assassins, the Companions, the College of Winterhold, the Civil War, everything. They've all got their own story arcs, their own feel, and their own place in the world. While there are some sequential side effects in the recent Assassin's Creed games, they all really just feel like one-offs or are basically just a marker tracking achievement progress. Like one quest that keeps track of the giant animal bosses you can fight around the world. It feels like if you want anything interesting, you have to continue on the main story even if you're not a fan of whatever arc you're currently on. RPGs need more of that freedom. Sure, there's stuff to do, but it needs to feel like it actually matters if Assassin's Creed is to truly be an RPG. Look, I'm not trying to take away from the fact that Ubisoft is actually trying for once, but we shouldn't just accept mediocrity when we know for a fact that the developers can do better. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is just around the corner, meaning that most likely all creative decisions have already been made. So maybe they'll continue to improve and expand on that kernel of good that was planted in Origins. Maybe they won't. But you know what? For the first time in a really, really long time, I'm actually excited about an upcoming Assassin's Creed game. I mean, it's got Vikings, which is cool as shit. Origins was good, Odyssey was better. I'm hopeful that Valhalla will continue that trend. Am I gonna buy it on release? Fuck no, I'm waiting for a sale like I always do. But man, I'm actually excited. And that feels pretty damn good. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. I upload every Monday, so make sure to check back in next week. Follow me on Twitter at AdsTweets for updates and memes, and follow me on Twitch at AdsGames if you want to hang out with me while I edit these videos. Once again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next Monday.
Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no